Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. My WrestleMania 33 review. About time. The ultimate thrill ride. God, that phrase got annoying. I mean, how would that phrase got so annoying? Every time I heard Michael Cole say it on Raw, I wanted to invade Raw, punch him in the dick, and then try to punch Vince McMahon in the dick. Yeah. Of course, that wouldn't have worked because I probably would have been jailed for assault and probably, got disowned. Maybe not. I don't know. But still, WrestleMania. What do I think of the overall show? Pretty freaking good show, I gotta admit. With a card that a lot of people were not interested in going in, the show ended up turning out pretty good. Not perfect, not great, but pretty good. Hang on. I just took some medicine, so hopefully I'll feel a little bit better. Let's just start off. Unlike the other shows, because it's WrestleMania, I'm going to start off with the pre-show. SmackDown. Wait, what? Why am I talking about SmackDown? The first match of the night was not a SmackDown match. It was a Raw match, or 205 Live. This was Neville defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Austin Aries in what was almost a 16-minute long match. So, yeah. These guys had 16 minutes, almost 16 minutes to work. Now, considering they had that amount of time, I did think they would have a better match. And they had a pretty good match. But I don't know, maybe it was just me, but considering it was Austin Aries and Neville, I kind of expected more. Maybe, because I do know sometimes wrestlers are told to hold back for fear of overshadowing other matches on the show. And it was a pre-show. So, I get why maybe this wasn't as good as maybe it should have been if it was on the main card. When the show actually started. But I did feel a little bit disappointed. Aside from that, though, this was actually a pretty freaking good match. I had fun with it. Aries and Neville did pretty good out there. I'd say, in ranking all the matches from best to worst, this one was probably number... Let's see here. I have my little list here. 1, 2, probably either number 4 or 5, which doesn't sound that good, but there were some pretty good matches on the show. And this match here, in terms of quality, tied a little bit with the opening match of the main card. That aside, this was a pretty good match. Neville won the match when when Austin Aries had him in the last chancery. Neville raked his eyes for what felt like 30 seconds to a minute, and then Aries was on the ropes. Neville kicked the middle rope, and hit Aries in the face. Neville hit the red arrow and got the win. With the exception of the raking of the ice, he got a relatively clean win at WrestleMania. Now, granted, it wasn't on the main card, but he got a win. So I have to admit, they did right by the Cruiserweights, other than the fact it was on the pre-show. Although, considering how the main card at times ended up in terms of time, probably a good idea. I mean, in terms of length, this one got a pretty good length. I mean, this match was longer than a lot of other matches on the card, except for a couple. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 matches. Again, number 4 or 5. Jeez, wow. Yeah, I have Wikipedia to help me out because I didn't print it out. So sue me. Whatever. Anyways, really good match. I recommend watching it if you can. The next match was by far the worst match of the night. I believe. It was, let's see here, what's the worst match? Yeah, it was. It was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And I gotta say, I'm happy for the winner. Mojo Rawley ended up winning by eliminating Jinder Mahal last. I'll get to that in a second. But the winner should have been somebody else. It should have been either Braun Strowman or Sami Zayn, or somebody else. In fact, I have a whole list of participants right here that were in order of elimination. Several of them were eliminated. The first few were eliminated by Braun Strowman, Primo, Kalisto, and Simon Gotch. Slater got eliminated. Jey Uso, Goldust, Connor of the Ascension, Big Show after. Oh yeah, that's right. Braun Strowman and Big Show had a brief face-off. Then everyone in the ring ganged up on the two giants. And then after a little bit of back and forth, Big Show was eliminated. Victor from the Ascension was eliminated. Braun Strowman was then eliminated by everyone. So the fact that not only was he eliminated, but he was eliminated this early really kind of surprised me. Kurt Hawkins, R-Truth, Rhino, Aiden English, which is weird because Simon Gotch was only eliminated way before. Curtis Axel, Jimmy Uso, both members of American Alpha, Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, maybe sad. Both members of Breezango, Tyler Breeze and Fandango, were Sin Cara and Mark Henry. Tian Bing. Now you're probably wondering, who the hell is Tian Bing? Well, apparently Tian Bing is, I believe, he's a Chinese wrestler who signed to WWE and NXT under the ring name Tian Bang. His real name is Ben Wang. I've been saying Tian Bang this whole time. It's Tian Bing. But Ben Wang. I'm glad they changed his name because he would have been mercilessly made fun of. I just want to see what he did here real quick. Let's see here. He signed June of last year. Okay. He's actually the first Chinese signed pro wrestler in over 6 years. So damn. He teamed with Ho Ho Lun in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Probably on a house show of some kind. So he hasn't made his real NXT TV debut. So my guess is that he's being saved probably so he can learn a little bit more English. Which does kind of suck for him, but I don't know. For what little I saw of him, he kind of reminds me of Kenta, just not as talented. But then again, not too many people are more talented than Kenta. Or maybe they are, I don't know. Kevin Owens might differ. See here, Epico. Wow. Primo and Epico. That's a far tag team elimination. Bo Dallas was eliminated, I gotta say, pretty hilariously by, I believe it was Apollo Crews. Crews himself was eliminated, then Ziggler, then Harper. So there went one other potential candidate to win, Luke Harper, coming off of his suspension from the Wyatt family. Titus O'Neil, who had no right to be this far in. And then we came down to the final four. It was Sami Zayn, Jinder Mahal, Mojo Rawley, and Killian Dane, who was Big Dame on WCPW. I talked about him in my WCPW reviews. He joined Eric Young's stable, Sanity, in NXT, and came here as one of the NXT representatives, the other being TMB. And so you think, okay, winner's either going to be Sami Zayn or Killian Dane. Nope. In fact, those are the next two eliminated. Sami Zayn was eliminated pretty friggin' anticlimactically by Killian Dane. And I'm like, okay, Dane has to win or else Because I know they're not going to do all that much with Mojo or Jinder. And surprise, surprise, they ended up being the final two. So here's basically what happened. Mojo was sent out to the outside, but not over the top ropes. He was thrown through the middle rope. And there was a New England. It was a New England Patriots football player called Rob Gronkowski. He was sitting at ringside, and apparently he's a friend of Mojo. Remember, Mojo used to be a football player before wrestling. And what happened was, while he was beating up on Mojo, Jinder taunted Gronkowski. I think he threw a drink in his face, actually. Which, depending on whether or not that was beer or spit, whoever that would have pissed me off too. Rob Gronkowski entered the ring. Some security at first tried to stop him, but okay, he's not a wrestler. But there was this one, I think it was like a female security guard. She obviously did not get. Sorry, throat. She obviously did not get the fact that Gronkowski was supposed to do what he did, and that it was some kind of an angle. And she kept on trying to stop him. Didn't work out. She probably got tongue lashing backstage by Vince McMahon. He basically ran into Jinder Mahal like a football tackle. Rawley a second later eliminated Killian Dane and then eliminated Mahal not too long afterwards. This was the worst match of the night because it kind of reminded me of the 2015 Royal Rumble where all of the obvious participants could have won. But the difference was that Roman Reigns, that one kind of pissed us off at the time. Maybe I'm talking too much, I don't know, but I gotta get this done. Then Dean Ambrose defended the Intercontinental Championship against Baron Corbin on the last match of the pre-show. You're probably wondering, I thought this was going to be on the main show. Why is this on the pre-show? Well, you can blame the fans and partially Becky Lynch for that. Apparently, it was announced that the women's championship six-pack challenge between champion Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Natalya, Carmella, Becky, and Mickie James, they were going to be on the pre-show, and fans basically were outraged that it was on the pre-show. I personally didn't care. They were pissed that it was in the pre-show. So WWE got, and I think Becky Lynch cheered him on. So WWE got it changed to being on the main show. In fact, it was the second last match on the card, and basically what was the death spot of the show. And but you had to bait and switch. They had to put a match in the pre-show to basically replace the spot that the women's six-pack challenge was going to be in. It ended up being the Intercontinental title match. And apparently, if there was anybody that was pissed off on Twitter, WWE paid no heed because they stayed on the pre-show. So, good job, guys. Now, depending on what time, what the slot that the match was going to be in, maybe it was better that it was on the pre-show because it would have gotten more time. But it just sucks that it wasn't on the main show. This was going to be the first time in many years that the Intercontinental title was going to be defended in a singles match on the main WrestleMania card. I'm not talking about Wade Barrett and The Miz from WrestleMania 29. I'm not talking about that. This actually would have been the first time since I recall WrestleMania 18, which was back in 2002. It is now 2017. And since then, we have not gotten one legitimate Intercontinental title singles match on the main card. WrestleMania 19, and the Intercontinental title was unified with the world title, which is stupid. WrestleMania 20, it wasn't defended. 21, wasn't defended. 22, same thing. 23, same thing. 24, same thing. 25, same thing. Actually, no. What am I talking about? Rey Mysterio and JBL had one in WrestleMania 25. Although that was barely even a match. That was basically a squash. Rey Mysterio beating up JBL and winning the title. So I guess when I say first legitimate match, I'm still right. But I can't say first match, because that would be 2009. Still, 2009, it's been 8 years. Come on. Come on, guys. Come on. As for the match itself, Baron Corbin, and by the way, guys, this is going to be a long video, so bear with me. Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose, they had a decent match. They didn't have a really good match or a great match. But the match was not shitty. I will say that. I thought Baron Corbin was going to walk out of this thing with it. To me, he was the obvious win. When Dean Ambrose ended up beating Baron Corbin. Now we all found out why. Dean Ambrose is going to be moved to Raw as the Intercontinental Champion. Is now feuding with The Miz. It was a pretty good match. Corbin worked on the back, which is not always something you work on during matches, but it was different. Corbin attempted the End of Days. He tried every move in the book. The Deep Six. He countered a couple of Dean's moves, like Dean Ambrose's springboard bounce that he tends to do, which looks awkward as all hell. But he attempted the End of Days. Ambrose countered. He basically flipped from the End of Days onto his feet and into the Dirty Deeds position and hit the move on Corbin, and he retained the title. Surprising, I'll say that, but it wasn't bad. Then we got up to the main show, WrestleMania. Before I get to the opening match, New Day came out. They were dressed, and from what I read online, they were dressed as characters inspired by Final Fantasy. And I love Final Fantasy, so go New Day. But they basically just cut a promo to hype the crowd. They didn't really say anything important. The first match was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. Now, from what the Saw Monster has, and from what sources I read later on, Styles was originally going to face Orton for the title at WrestleMania, with Styles being the champion. That was the original plan. Well, plans change. And plans changed, and The Miz ended up wrestling. One of The Miz, and Styles ended up facing McMahon instead. Although The Miz was affected by the plans. The match was actually pretty friggin' good. It had several good spots I actually liked. AJ Styles' springboard. He did his normal springboard 450, but he didn't hit Shane. Shane countered into a triangle choke. And Styles countered it into a one-arm Styles clash. The referee was knocked out after Styles tried to kick Shane in the head. He dodged and accidentally hit the referee. Shane tried to do the top rope elbow from the ring to the table, the announce table, while Styles was on it. Didn't work. Excuse me. He then tried to perform coast to coast on Shane with a trash can in front of Shane. Shane ended up throwing a trash can at Styles in midair, which was awesome. Remember, the referee's knocked out in this. So, they used a weapon here because, ref knocked out. You can do whatever the hell you want, right? Shane then performed a coast to coast to Styles, and I thought this was the end of the match. Not really. And then I think the last great part of the match was when Shane McMahon tried to go for, I shit you not, he tried to go for a shooting star press. At his age, I would never have expected Shane McMahon to go for a shooting star press, but that's exactly what he did. He didn't hit Styles, but he actually did rotate correctly. So if he did hit Styles, it would have been on the money. After the failed shooting star press, Styles hit the phenomenal forearm to pin Shane for the win. If there's anything right about Shane and Styles going off, it's that Styles had to win. And he did. Wasn't long afterward that Styles turned, basically fans turned him babyface. Next up was Jericho defending the United States Championship against Kevin Owens. This was a great match, I gotta say. Great match between these two. Sorry, my throat's like scratching right now because I've been talking. I just recorded Fastlane earlier. I wanted to record for the Raw pay-per-view. I forget exactly what the name of it was. Goes to show you how much they care. Or no, I think it was actually, I was about to say Over the Limit. Who gives a shit? No, it was Payback. I was gonna record Payback later, but it looks like my throat just won't be into it. So what happened was in this match, a lot of good things happened in this match. Sorry, sometimes I go off. I'm not exactly a podcaster here. But there was one spot I really liked. I liked Owens doing the normal cannonball. They basically just worked a nice technical wrestling match with a little bit of high flying here and there. Owens, I liked it when he performed it was a cannonball, like the running cannonball, but he did it on the outside on the apron with Jericho against the ring post. That was pretty cool. Jericho, he got a top rope Hurricane Rana, which was pretty cool. He got Owens into a Walls of Jericho. Owens put one finger on the ring ropes and actually no. Oh no, it was the code breaker. I almost forgot. No, he did get the Walls of Jericho, but he didn't tap. But Owens, he was gonna go for a pop-up powerbomb, and Jericho countered into a code breaker, pretty cool looking one at that. And Owens put one finger on the rope because he was right next to the ropes, but he only put one finger on the rope, so like he barely did it. Match ended when Owens did a powerbomb on the ring apron to Jericho, which is what got him a little bit hurt in the first place several weeks before. So Owens pinned Jericho, and Kevin Owens your new United States Championship. And even despite a brief win at Payback for the title, Owens ended up getting his win back and basically winning the feud against Jericho. Which I gotta say, his new gimmick now as the new face of America is actually pretty fun on SmackDown. Next up was a solid match. It was a fatal 4-way elimination match between the Raw Women's Champion, Bayley, defending her title against Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks. All four of them. This match, if I had any comparison to this match, it reminds me a lot of Charlotte. Not Charlotte. The Fatal 4-Way Elimination Main Event at WrestleMania 2000 with Triple H defending the WWE title against The Rock, Mick Foley, and Big Show. Hang on, I gotta drink some water. Sorry, guys. Had to drink water. Could not hold in the pain anymore. But yeah, the match, it reminded me a lot of that match because, again, it didn't need to be a Fatal 4 match. It could have just been Bayley and Sasha in a singles match, which is what The Rock and Triple H was going to be. Until they fucked it all up and wanted to do the McMahon in every quarter thing. Which to me made little to no sense. And you look at some of the roles here. Sure, Bayley was in the role of The Rock. Nia Jax was in the role of Big Show, both figuratively and literally, as she was the first one eliminated. Then you had a somewhat sympathetic babyface in Sasha playing the role of Mick Foley. Then you had Charlotte and Bayley playing The Rock and Charlotte playing Triple H. Let's just say that remember, I'm trying to keep my throat intact here. Let's just say that the match was okay. It was definitely not as good as that match in 2000. Then again, that had some pretty freaking awesome talent. But I think I would have been fine with just Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley. Why did Nia Jax have to be in there? She didn't have to be in the match. Let's look at, her elimination went like this. She basically came out for a freaking cup of tea and then got ceremoniously dumped when all three of the women performed what was basically a triple powerbomb, like a Shield-style triple powerbomb. And all three of them covered, Nia for the pin. Then there was some real back and forth between the three women. Charlotte eliminated Sasha Banks. I forget what move she eliminated Banks in, but it wasn't one of her finishers. Then Bayley pinned Charlotte, and again, something that is not her finisher. She pinned Charlotte after Charlotte, I think they were on the top rope. Bayley hit like a front suplex from the top rope, and then hit the Randy Savage elbow, and then pinned Charlotte for the win. So Bayley retained at WrestleMania. Good for Bayley. The match itself, though, suffered from having both Nia Jax in there, and mainly just from having Nia Jax in there. It could have just been those three women, but I guess they didn't want that. So let's get on to the next match, which was the Raw tag. This was, in my opinion, may have actually no. Why don't we talk about match of the night later? This, in my opinion, may have been the second best match of the night. Maybe. It was the Raw tag team titles. It was a ladder match. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows came out to defend against Cesaro and Sheamus and Big Cass and Enzo Amore. Enzo and Cass. And then the New Day came out, and they were cutting a promo. They were in their gear, and you probably thought, okay, they're going to be in the match. They're going to put themselves in the match. They teased that they were going to do that. That they were going to add one more team to make it a Fatal 4, and then the Hardy Boys came back. 1 week. Actually, why don't we talk about 1 week? Which, just if you recall, on Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, just the night before, they defended the Ring of Honor tag team titles in another ladder match against the Young Bucks. A match that was actually pretty fucking awesome. Go check that match out. Right now. Like, pause it. Pause this video. Go and watch that match. Now, the match didn't even go that long. Went about 11 minutes. But this was a 4-star match. I had a lot of fun with this match. It was a lot of fun. Jeff and Matt Hardy came out, did their normal shtick. There were chances of delete. And Matt Hardy did still have the white part of his hair. Although it was more slicked back like normal. It wasn't as crazy like broken Matt. But but you know, it's the tag team reunion for WWE. The Hardy Boys came back to reunite in the tag division, and they won the tag team titles in a ladder match, which was, of course, was their tried and true specialty. It's probably why they went with a ladder match stipulation to begin with. Because I remember during the build-up, I was just like, wait, why is there a ladder match? I mean, especially with guys as big as Cass, Anderson, and Gallows. Now it makes sense to me. This is a great match. I had a lot of fun with it. Go check it out. In fact, as far as I know, the video of the Hardy Boys returning may have actually been one of the highest rated WWE videos on YouTube ever. And that's saying a lot. Next match was the mixed tag team match with John Cena and Nikki Bella against The Miz and Maryse. I gotta say, guys, and I gotta say, this match was disappointing. For more reasons than one. Considering the kind of match they had at WrestleMania 27, I didn't expect them to have a great match here, but I also expected Maryse to actually wrestle. Maryse was actually in a match. And I expect her to wrestle against Nikki Bella. Now, again, Maryse was not known. In fact, Maryse had no business being in a ring to begin with back then. Back when she was first employed by the company. But something to give us something entertaining. Maryse did none of that. For the most of the match, it was only like 10 minutes long. For most of the match, it was basically John Cena and The Miz. One-on-one. And then Cena tagged in Nikki Bella. And then Nikki Bella just beat on Maryse. Then they hit stereo. Then the John Cena and Nikki Bella hit a stereo a stereo AA and attitude adjustment on The Miz, and Nikki Bella did the Rack Attack 2.0 on Maryse. Which, why don't they just call it a TKO? That's exactly what it is. In fact, screw it. I'm calling it a TKO from now. I'm not calling it Rack Attack 2.0. It's TKO. This was a disappointing match. It wasn't horrible. I will say that. It wasn't horrible. It just wasn't good. It was just mediocre as all hell. Although it was just the backdrop for John Cena to propose to Nikki Bella, which did happen here. And again, this goes back. The original WrestleMania plans was that John Cena was going to face the Undertaker, and The Miz was actually going to defend the Intercontinental title against debuting Shinsuke Nakamura as revenge by Daniel Bryan for all the shit The Miz did to him for months, and well, not did to him, but you know, taunting him for months and months on end. Turns out Nakamura would not even be on this show. Seth Rollins and Triple H in a non-sanctioned match. I'm gonna say right now, some people might give me flack for this. I don't give a fuck what you think. I thought this was the best match of the night. Some people may, especially in the crowd, may have been bored, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe people in the crowd were bored, but people who were watching at home may have gotten better. This match went the longest of every match of the night. It went almost 26 minutes. This was a non-sanctioned match with weapons and all. And it was a slow-paced match though, but I didn't mind the slow pace. It worked in here. Just because a match is slow-paced doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes it can mean it's bad, but here it worked. It really worked here, in my opinion. They made use of weapons. Now, if there was anything disappointing about this match, it was the fact that I thought with the non-sanctioned stipulation that there was going to be a hell of a lot more weapons and violence here. I remember the non-sanctioned match with Triple H and Shawn Michaels back at SummerSlam 2002. That was a freaking war. But this match here was still a really good, it was actually a great match. In my opinion, it was the best match on the show. Better than Styles and McMahon, better than Neville and Aries, better than the ladder match, better than Owens and Jericho, better than all those matches. This match to me was a lot of fun. Sorry, it was a fly. I was eating my fried chicken in this match. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Stephanie McMahon went through a table when Seth Rollins super kicked Triple H, and Triple H ran into Stephanie, and Steph went through a table that was set up, I believe, by Rollins earlier in the match. And then after that, Seth Rollins hit the pedigree on Triple H to win the match. So finally, after what, a year or two of planning, they finally got their Rollins Triple H match. It was a close call that Rollins might not make it, but thankfully he did. They worked on the knee a lot during the match, which made sense considering Rollins' real-life injury. But the antithesis of this match was the next match, the WWE title match between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt being the champion, Randy Orton being the challenger. The build-up to this match was weird, but at least it was interesting. But the match itself was just okay. It wasn't shitty. It wasn't great. It wasn't even good. Just okay. Randy, they tried having a singles match back at, I think it was No Mercy last year. And they didn't have that good of a match. They had a slightly better match here. It was kept short. It was kept only like about 10 minutes long or so. But yeah. This match was just okay. These guys do not share chemistry, as we will see at the when I eventually record and review. I want to say Backlash. When I record and review Payback with that god awful match. The House of Horrors. I'll get to that. As for who won this match, again, I didn't like it. But considering that Bray Wyatt was going to Raw, apparently, he lost the WWE title to Randy Orton. But why couldn't you just have a situation where Bray Wyatt is on Raw but has to defend the WWE title one last time, and then Orton wins the title at a pay-per-view? Bray Wyatt should have won this match. And this goes back, and something that the Saw Monster said, apparently Bray Wyatt's going to be doing a reverse Undertaker. Bray Wyatt has not won any of his WrestleMania matches. John Cena, Undertaker. He wasn't in a match at WrestleMania 32, but he did get beat on by both The Rock and John Cena. And now he gets beat by Randy Orton. Who's next? what I want to know. I feel bad for Bray. It makes me not want to care about him. Even though I want to care about him. But I just don't. There was also like these bugs and shit that would have come on every time Bray did his signature crab walk pose. It did look different, but it also was distracting. I understand why they did it, but I just felt distracted by it. But the antithesis of this match was Goldberg defending the Universal title against Brock Lesnar. This match only went 5 minutes, but I had a lot of fun in those 5 minutes. This match trumped their Survivor Series match. It definitely trumped their match at WrestleMania 20 years ago. 13 years. I can't believe it's been that long. But yeah, Goldberg defended the title against Lesnar. And I gotta say, in the 5 minutes that they got, it was a shitload of fun. This match was fun. Lesnar hit a few German suplexes on him. Goldberg hit a spear, hit a second spear. Lesnar went out to the outside. Goldberg hit a spear through the barricade. Then he went into the ring. Goldberg hit a jackhammer on Lesnar. Lesnar kicked out. Goldberg then went for another spear. Lesnar, with the exception of his leg kind of brushing over Goldberg's bald head, leaped. Like, this guy friggin' leaped over Goldberg, which was scary to watch. And then Lesnar hit more Junes, and Goldberg ran into the turnbuckle, by the way. Lesnar hit more German suplexes on him. 1 F5. Lesnar's your new Universal Champion. I'm happy for Lesnar. As far as I'm aware of, he is the first man to ever win the WWE title and the Universal title at the same time. Or at the same time. He was the first one to win both titles. So, history books for Brock Lesnar. Hang on a second. Spit got in my way. Next match was basically the dead spot of the night, or maybe not. It was the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. It was the six-pack challenge. It was Alexa Bliss defending the title against Naomi, Becky Lynch, Carmella, who had James Ellsworth with her, Mickie James, and Natalya. This match, much like the last match, only went 5 minutes long. However, unlike the last match, this match should have gone longer. This match was only okay. It wasn't horrible. It was a little bit more on the mediocre downward side, but it was still okay and easy enough to watch. It wasn't horrible. Naomi won the match when she got a pretty good-looking new submission hold on Alexa Bliss. I actually enjoyed that. It looked kind of like Zack Sabre Jr.'s finish, when he would wrap his legs around the person's arms and put them in real pain. It looked a lot like that. But this was a okay match. It was only okay. That's all I can really say. But it was supposed to be the dead spot for crowds to kind of calm down and breathe. Especially for the next match. Roman Reigns and The Undertaker in the main event in a no-holds-barred match. Some people thought this match sucked. Some people thought it was good. Meltzer thought it was good. Lundrick thought it was good. Screw you guys. I thought it was good. I personally had a little bit of fun with this match, considering it has to be the Undertaker's last match. The post match just confirmed it for me. But yeah, it's just so sad. Roman Reigns. I'll just get right to it. They had back and forth. Reigns, for much of the match, tried to figure out how the hell do I put this man down. He was being mocked by The Undertaker. This is my yard. Roman Reigns at one point hit a spear through a table. Undertaker did sit up after a second when Reigns got in the ring. You know, the normal moves were hit. The Hell's Gate submission hold, the last ride, choke slam, tombstone, all those moves. Superman punches and spears galore, oh my. But then the ending of the match happened where it seemed like Undertaker was weakening. He was reaching for the chair and then Roman went over and stomped on the chair. Basically said, no. Oh yeah, a steel chair was brought in and used as a weapon by The Undertaker and then later by Roman Reigns. Which, at Undertaker's age, had to hurt like hell. Reigns then hit more spears and more Superman punches, but Undertaker still would not give up. And he basically said, basically told him to stay down. How the hell do I put this guy down? And then, after one last spear, running the ropes, Roman Reigns pinned Undertaker 1, 2, 3. And if this is Undertaker's last match, he went out trying to do his best, especially at his age and how hurt, banged up he is. He had a good match in my opinion. Reigns celebrated on the ramp. He raised his hand like this, like he normally does, or did, or whatever. And then the pyro went off. But then, I'm glad the show did not go off with that. Undertaker was alone in the ring. He did his setup, his dead man setup. Then his music played. He put on, and I'm glad commentary was not. Oh, forgot. Speaking of commentary, Jim Ross came out to commentate on this match. Hey, more Jim Ross is a plus for me. Anyways, so Jim Ross, actually he helped make this match a little bit better for me. Maybe that's part of why I liked it. Jim Ross commentated it was appropriate because it was Undertaker's last match, supposedly. And if it truly is his last match, then he went out doing his best. But what I will always remember is the ending of that match, which was the post match, which was Undertaker. He put all his gear on. And then he takes it off, almost as if to say this is the last time I'm wearing this gear. He takes off his fight gloves, his MMA style fight gloves, puts them on the mat. Takes off his coat, he folds it up, puts it over his fight gloves on the mat. Takes off his hat, puts it on the mat on top of his coat. He walks out of the ring. He goes up to the ramp. And he didn't walk all the way down, by the way, or down the ramp. There was like a platform there. And he went back to the platform, stared at the ring, went back, looked back at the stage, the WrestleMania stage, did his normal hand sign like this, and then slowly as the smoke showed up, he started to go down the ramp. No commentary was said. People, I think, were crying at the end. And I have to admit, I didn't cry, but I got choked up. Because when you really think about it, like Undertaker, he was a little bit overweight. You could tell the guy was a little bit overweight. He had a belly, and yeah, that may have hampered his in ring, but that didn't matter to me. What mattered to me was, could he do something good, and he did, even if it was for the wrong person. When you really think about it, Undertaker has been there for much of our wrestling lives up until this point. A lot of people who grew up in the New Generation era, the Attitude era, or as I did in the Ruthless Aggression era, you grew up the same time I did. Undertaker was always there. He was always there doing his best. Or trying his best to do his best. Undertaker, no matter who came in, who left, Austin, Brett, Shawn, The Rock, Triple H when he went part-time, anybody else, Hogan, anybody. The Undertaker was always there. And it feels sad. It feels like it really hit me that this is it. This is it. This is the end. This is the last time I will ever be watching The Undertaker. And now after this, I went back and watched some of his old matches. It was just so sad. I got choked up. Some people I know had to have cried because they loved The Undertaker. And it was just, it's like Michael Jordan when he played his last basketball game. You're happy that you're watching him play his last basketball game, but at the same time, he's playing his last game. You're not going to be able to enjoy this ever again. It's bittersweet. And it's the same thing here. Undertaker was always, he was actually my favorite wrestler up until I became an AJ Styles fan. I found out more about him. But while AJ Styles is my favorite wrestler, I will always, in some ways, have a more personal connection to The Undertaker. Because ever since, he was the first wrestler I remember. My first ever wrestling memory was him throwing JBL through his limo at SummerSlam 2004. That's my first ever wrestling memory that I can recall. And it's just sad that we won't have that back. It's sad that we will not have those days back where Undertaker can go out every week and just do what he does best. That to me is the biggest tragedy. Is that it's sad, and I hope Taker gets his surgery and heals up and just lives the rest of his days. But if this is his last match, if this is truly it, and I believe it is, then Taker, we love you, we respect you, and we will always remember the great memories you've given us over the 27 years of you being the dead man. I know this ending may sound somber, but that's just because it is. So, that said, go check out this Wrestlemania. It is a good show. And if you get choked up at the end, don't worry. So I did too. So with that said, rest in peace, dead man. Have a good rest of your life. Be well, stay safe. I will see you guys on another day reviewing another show. See ya.